So last night was pretty great, getting to see the work in progress.
You liked it?
Yeah, I did very much. How was it for you showing an audience that for the first time?
You know, it was really exciting. I mean, there's this part of you that feels like when you're working on something you really love, you feel like you have a secret, and there's this part of you that is like, oh my God, I can't wait to share this secret with the world. And there's another part of you that goes, what if we share the secret and everyone thinks the secret sucks and only we think the secret is special? And what was really scary about last night is we were showing unfinished footage. The reason being that we were hoping that you could get a window into what we have, which is the idea that you're watching Andy Serkis and Karen Carnival and Terry Notary and these actors who play the apes, and that they are really the performances that drive the scene. And so we wanted you to see those actors and then suddenly see like the animation that was going on in its crude form, and then glimpses of how you're seeing that same emotion that's on Andy's face, and suddenly you're seeing Caesar and you're like, oh, I get it, that's Andy in his face, and all that whole thing. We wanted to share that, but it was a little bit of a risk because everybody could have looked at it and said, you know what, that doesn't look great, which was not the point. So I was very excited that everybody seemed to receive it well.
So now this is your second Apes movie, working with Andy Serkis. Are there still elements of his performance or the technology that surprise you as a filmmaker?
Well, the interesting thing about the technology is that the technology is purely about recording. It just records what he does, and as there are advancements in the mocap capture, it just means that they're getting more detail in his face, which means that they have more data that can show the animators exactly the position that all the muscles in his face are in as he's emoting. And so, in terms of the advancements in that way, nothing changes between what Andy and I do. What did change is now we had an even greater shorthand, so I know immediately it's so fun to work with Andy because he's just a great actor. And what was really fun for me, and it was fun for me on Dawn, but really fun for me also in War, was to see the way the other actors who are playing, you know, we've got human characters, like Woody Harrelson when he came in, and for a moment he thought, oh, I've never done a movie like this, am I going to be acting to a tennis ball? I was like, no, you're going to act with this amazing actor, Andy Serkis. And when he realized what he was going to be acting opposite, which was a great actor, he fell in love. And the two of them had this whole experience, and as a director to get to watch that and to play with them and to experience sort of like improving with this and doing little explorations. One of the cool things about motion capture that I was really excited about in Dawn is that in a certain way it's no different from doing a conventional movie. It's getting actors in a room, staging the scene, finding whatever feels emotionally truthful, and then moving on, telling that story. But one thing that's different is you could do a giant scale scene, and because you don't have all of the apes yet, I'm going to get all those performances later, I could do a giant scale scene and actually not worry about the extras, not worry about all that stuff, and just worry about the performances of those actors who are right in the foreground. And sometimes that was liberating. It was very exciting.
So last question, I know you're knee-deep in War right now, but has there been any talk of continuing the story, maybe even up until the point where the classic movies begin?
Sure. I mean, one of the things that is great for me about the series is that you have in the distance the signpost of what the '68 movie is. And that movie was very much a mind-blowing narrative. And the narrative reveal was, you know what? This was Earth all along, and it was about the arms race. It was about human nature. This is what humanity has done to itself, and the apes have evolved to this new place. Well, the great thing is that that's that story. This story, we already know the ending, so then this is really about, well, we're not in that world. How do we get from here to there? And the how, when you change a story from what happens to how does it happen, it becomes more character-based. It becomes more psychological. The suspense becomes, oh, this is what led to that. And so we're constantly aware that there's that '68 film in the distance, and we don't want to get there. We want to keep getting closer and telling new stories in a way that's almost like a great Russian novel. You're just going to see all this sort of epic sort of chapter after chapter of how the apes and the humans become more like that movie.